Monday edition of the Man United Agenda. Hello everyone, and you're very welcome to this Monday edition of the Man United Agenda. I am aware that some of you are probably watching Dirty Leeds and Liverpool over there in the box that's on my left-hand side, but we have some business to attend to concerning Manchester United. But before we do, we have a merch store, and we do supply Man United Agenda mugs. So if you do want to get your hands on one, the link is in the description of this video. It's also up on the screen, so either screen grab it or click on the link that's in the description of the video, and that will take you to getting your very own Man United Agenda mug. But I do want to welcome Notch and our other guest, Tyrone, to the channel. How are we doing, gentlemen?
All good, thank you very much. Absolutely brilliant.
Love that. Now, thank you guys.
No, I won yesterday, so I'm happy.
Yeah, true. Now I always say, guys, whatever show I'm on, always make sure you show love, man. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Show love to the guys. Thank you for having me as well.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate it. It's good to chop it up with guys.
Yes, thank you for inviting me.
I don't really like to go on channels that are doing all the shouty business, and I know you guys ain't like that, so that's why I respect it, man. So big up all you guys.
Absolutely. Now, I do want to ask you, Tyrone, you do have a kindred spirit on our channel in Mr. B. He has big love for the man, Anthony Martial. And we've said it on the channel before. The problem with Martial isn't his football ability. It was initially his attitude, because he didn't seem to want to be there because of the managers weren't utilising him correctly. But of late, it's been injury. And we obviously are a better team when Martial is in there leading the line. Actually, speaking of Mr. B, there he is. Speak and you shall find.
Big up, Mr. B.
Big up, man.
So you do have, I imagine you could have a show on your own where you're talking about Anthony Martial.
We could.
But Notch, I do want to ask you about your jersey behind you, the frame jersey. What have you got there?
It's the 1999 Champions League jersey with the winners stuff on it. So it's not actually worn on that season. But yeah, I've collected a few shirts over the years. I don't exactly wear them much anymore. But yeah, I just thought, well, I've got these. They're a recollection of an amazing... I was at the new camp, so...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, incredibly honoured to have been there. And I nearly broke my glasses in my glasses case celebrating the winner. It was a mad week, a mad couple of days and a mad night and a mad game. So I thought, well, what am I doing with these shirts? Why not display them? So I thought, put that up there and spend the money on the frame.
Absolutely. And I think we did something that no other English team has managed to do. We won a small thing called the treble, I think, that night, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know
It was just a couple of tin pots that year, you know.
Look, we have to be careful. We can boast about the treble this season, but Man City are
they're coming.
Edge.
Yeah.
So, let's be mindful of what we say here. But yeah, a terrific achievement. Just want to ask Notch one question. Will you be at the end where the goals were scored?
No, we a friend of mine managed to get tickets because the friends and family of Real Madrid players were all given seats, as you know, a lot of honorary people can go, and Barcelona players, obviously. And a lot of them got sent back to the club because they weren't passed around. They ended up going back on the second market sale. So a friend of mine saw these and just went, oh my God, let's phone up and grab these tickets. And four of us managed to go over there and booked a very late Ryanair kind of organized flight over there for a very quick package. So we were there for about a day and a bit to go back and fly back, pretty much not long after the game. So we had seats kind of near the center circle with other kind of dignitaries. It was still filled mostly with United fans because everyone wants to go there. But yeah, it was just incredible. at the time I was thinking, you know what, I saw United win the Winners' Cup in 91, and having seen United not win much before that for 12, 15 years that I was a fan, I thought, you know what, I am never going to see United win a European trophy ever again in my life. And then suddenly 99 comes along. Fergie just built this incredible squad, as he kept doing, as we know. And yeah, I'll never forget.
Not obviously you were there, but in Barcelona. But I do want to ask you, which was more sweet for you? That 99 win, obviously knowing that it was the treble, or beating Chelsea in Roman's backyard in 08?
I have to say the match that I went to, because it was, I never thought United would ever win a treble, never mind win a European trophy again. So to actually experience that, and the manner that it happened in the last minute, when, with an hour gone, or about 70 minutes gone, my head was like this. I was just, we're not going to do it. We've the two injuries in midfield have messed us up. We're not going to quite have enough. Bayern are going to be too cunning and cute, and they're going to see it out. And then suddenly I remember when David Beckham suddenly got on the ball, and he'd done nothing, but then suddenly I just saw him. Oh my God, he suddenly had this extra urgency. Let's get forward. Let's get past this player. And then he passed it, I think, to, I can't remember who he passed it to, but he managed to, was it Sheringham? Managed to knock it off for a corner, and then the equaliser came in. So everything just went, it was just pandemonium after that. I tried to take, I had these really, really weak, one of those round glasses that had a very, very weak, like rimless ones. So I thought these are definitely going to break. So I tried to put them in a flippy top glasses case, and that moment, the glasses case broke. So I was like trying to fiddle with this, and while I was fiddling with this, Ollie's winner went in. So suddenly I was holding my glasses in one hand and the box in the other, going, ah!
We could always call you Notch Kamara then, could we?
If you like, yeah.
But gentlemen, I do think it's time to get down to business. As much as I'd love to reminisce on 99 and all these wonderful achievements, I did a show earlier on around the Glazers and the Shananigans, but now we have some fresh faces, some fresh input. So just to give you the background, Mark Ogden reported earlier on that the Glazer family, aka Joel and Avram in particular, are confident of remaining at Manchester United Football Club. The reason why they're confident is they have been advised that Manchester United Football Club in the next decade could double in value from the 5 to 6 billion that apparently they're looking for to sell Manchester United this year. And they have been offered money from various American hedge funds to retain their shareholding, but allow them to purchase the equity that their siblings have, so that they would have full autonomous control of Manchester United Football Club. All our debt would remain, the situation with our stadium would remain, and it just generally paints a bleak picture as to what the future of Manchester United Football Club would look like if they are to stay. So Tyrone, I'm going to start with you. How concerned are you, and what needs to happen to get these Americans to go home?
God, try and sum up in a few minutes. It could be a long one. Like, where do you start when you're on the spot? Do you know what? First of all, with this, my whole thing is as well, I don't do a lot of shows on talking about the Glazers, to be honest. It sounds bad, but I'm always quite tired of it. And I'm guessing you guys are the same, because you've been doing it for years as well. But in regards to where they're at now, the first thing I thought of when the whole thing came out in terms of them wanting to sell the club was why. And the reason the first why came to my head is because they've obviously been in charge since 2006, I think it is, if I'm right. Yeah, back to 06. And you've had obviously the Ferguson era, which was great. Of course, you're never going to contest that. And he got through with his demons. Look at the summer when we saw Ronaldo, and I think we got like Michael Owen and Antonio Valencia, just for as a perfect example. We've then had, is that my connection? We got a mate in. I love it. Yes. Oh, sorry. Love that though. But in regards to obviously back to what we're talking about, when you look at the managers we've had in, obviously we've had Mourinho, we've had Louis van Gaal, we've had the Ollie, and then obviously the Ragnick, and then now Eric Ten Hag. since Alex Ferguson, for me, Eric Ten Hag has got the best direction and the vision for the club and where it's going to be heading. And I think in terms of what we've seen this season, I know some people will say, no, it's Manchester United and the expectations this. At the end of the day, that's the name of the football club. The expectation for me at the start of the season was top 6 and getting a trophy. Now, we've won a trophy. We're probably going to finish in the top 4, hopefully, fingers crossed. We're still in the FA Cup semi-final, and we're in the FA Cup quarter-final with a tough leg against Sevilla. Now, for me, when you look at the direction of what Ten Hag has done in terms of signing 4 players in one summer, the direction of the club is actually on an upwards trajectory. And we're thinking maybe 4 to 5 right signings in the summer. We could potentially challenge for the league because no one expected Arsenal to be where they are now. The gap is not that big. Let's be real right now. So for me, if the club are going to be challenging for major trophies and they've got the right manager that's here to be here happily, hopefully for 4 or 5 years, maybe longer, why would you sell the club at the time when it's actually on an upwards trajectory? So first of all, that was my big question mark to my head. So I thought, why would they do that? And then obviously it's coming now in terms of we've had 2 bids and then there's going to be a 3rd round of bids on the 28th of April, I believe the date is. Now, I don't know if you lot follow me on Twitter. I'm not going to act like an ICK, but there's a few things I've tweeted and like, my following went up because I don't like to tweet for the sake of it. But like when we got Rangnick, I said that and stuff. And I've actually been told that Joel is the most reluctant to sell, if I'm totally honest with you guys. And that is from the same guy that's told me the stuff about Rangnick coming in and so forth. And it seems to be that way now with the stuff you're seeing, because today, Joel and Avram are looking like the 2 that want to stay and the rest want to go. Now, how hard is it to say, sell a club like Manchester United when it's as big as what it is? Us 4 right now could own Manchester United. But I might say, I don't want to sell, but 2 of you do, but me and Omu want to keep our shares. Then you've got an imbalance. And it's not just selling a pair of trainers. We're talking about one of the biggest franchises, is what they call it, in the world of football. So I don't know where we're at right now. I feel like we're stuck at a crossroads, and I'm not really believing too much into what's going on in the media, because I always have a saying in my head. Like, I work with schools, and when my teachers are working for me, no news is good news. That's what I always say. They're doing their job, crack on. And I feel like we're not getting many breaking reports about what's going on, because a few weeks ago, a lot of journalists were publishing stuff. Then none of it was true. And we're not really hearing too much apart from today, which is from Mark Ogden. So for me, I'm hoping that quietly they're working behind the scenes to get something done, because we're not hearing a lot of noise except what we've heard today, which is the first rumblings in a couple of weeks. But on the overall situation, how I see it is, I'm a Manchester United fan. What do we want to do? We want to watch Manchester United win games. We want to enjoy our football and see them compete with the best teams across Europe. Now, if this sale doesn't go through for me by the end of May, my calmness, which you asked me about, would then become more worrying. And the reason I say that is we've got a manager that is delivering with a squad right now that's not good enough to compete for the major things right now. We could improve on that in the summer. We've got a squad that a lot of the players that are here are talking about the harmony, and they're happy from what the manager's bringing and the culture he's bringing in. Now, to get to that next level, we need to bring our players in early. We didn't want to sign Casemiro on August the 31st last year. Let's not get it wrong. We had if you compare us to Man City, and I always say Ten Hag worked with Man City with Pep Guardiola at Bayern as the under-23 coach. Now, what does Pep do? If you guys quote me if I'm wrong, he has all his signings in ready for pre-season. You never see Pep sign in August the 20th or anything like that. He has them in pre-season ready to go because he has the structure, his system, the way he wants to play. Now, Ten Hag wants to do the same. No way does he want to be bringing in players in August. Now, the earlier we get this deal taken over, if that's what they're going to do, or if they're going to remain, I want it done by the end of May, because Ten Hag then needs to know what funds he's going to work with and what he can plan to do next summer. The longer they leave it, the more he's not going to have time to get his right players in, the less time he's going to know about the funds, and the less the club in general and the players and everyone that works from the top to the bottom is going to know what's actually going on. What's the last thing I want to do, if I'm honest? I don't want to excuse my French because I know the monetization, but I don't want to F me off if I'm Ten Hag. The last person you want to F off is Ten Hag, because he's the perfect manager and we know what he can do in the framework. So for me, I'm calm right now in answer to your question. But if this goes on past the end of May, I'm worried about what that short-term future could be for next season, because I actually think the gap's not that big. And if we miss out on some major signings in this summer, we could then fall behind our rivals and then be chasing our tail next summer again and saying, okay, but next summer we need this. So I'm calm right now. But if it gets to June the 1st, I'll be back on here and saying, if I'm Ten Hag, I'm worried about what the future is.
Spot on, Tyrone. Spot
Yeah,
on.
sorry, it's hard to think of it all on the spot. I'm just trying to go. Oh,
No worries, mate. Obviously, there's 18 in the chat. Please do like, share, and subscribe. We will be coming to your comments shortly. But before we do, Notch, I want to take you back to the timeline of the events that have transpired in this takeover process. Around the start of December, the first rumblings of Manchester United being for sale started to rear their head. This was following the announcement that FSG were considering selling their stakeholding in Liverpool Football Club, and the Glazers then jumped in thinking that the Sharks were circling and now was the time to cash in. We had the Rain Group appointed somewhere around the January mark, and they said that they would be seeking to complete the identification of the key bidder by end March. We had 2 rounds of bidding, and they asked for full submissions on what they wanted to do as the new owners of Manchester United. They talked about stadium bills, they talked about developments of the squad, they talked about a whole lot of things that, when you kind of boil it down, didn't really concern the Glazer family, because they didn't have to satisfy the Glazer family that they were going to advance our football club, because the reality is they only wanted how much was being put on the check. Obviously, the bidders had to satisfy various bits and bobs to the English FA and the people that scrutinised the bids. So that's why those parts were encompassed in the thing. But at the end of the second round of bidding, if you were a competent businessman, as Joel and Avram are reported to be, at that stage, you know where you want to be. You know where your bidders are. Isn't this where you accelerate the process? You go in to the boardroom and you go, this is where you are. This is where we want to be. And you hammer that out. And you see whether or not, obviously, Enos being the other main bidder that we know of, were capable of matching it.
can I play devil's advocate to you, though? If you think of an auction, when people are bidding, 150,000 here, 151, 152, people keep on going. We've not actually been that clear in terms, they've not been that clear in terms of how many people are bidding. We're hearing about obviously the Sheikh Jassim, and we're hearing about Jim Ratcliffe, and then this other American investment potentially, but apparently there is multiple. So if you're Avram and Joel, right, and you know that people are very interested, if you get to a second bid and say 6 of them are still making bids, you would then go for a third bid. And if 4 of them are still making bids, why wouldn't you go for a 4th bid? Because it's a bit like an auction. You're going to try and get as much money for your business as possible. So until them numbers dwindle down, why would you call off any potential bids? If us 4 are sitting here now and we're like, we've got 6 people still bidding, we're going to say, right, let's do it again. And until we say, right, we've only got 2 left, then you're going to be like, right, we need to make a decision. If these people keep going, why are you going to make a decision?
That's a very interesting point, and I suppose not taking that all into account, and taking into account that for a businessman who's trying to make a return off the product, obviously there's going to be a threshold where it doesn't make economic sense for them to try and purchase the club, knowing what they're going to have to invest in the capital expenditure and the playing squad. Where do you see all this evolving, and what direction are we going?
Well, I think you just kind of, the phrase you just used just now pretty much sums it all up. And the businessmen wanting to maximize as much profit as they want off a product. That's all they've ever seen this football club as. I'm not even sure they're even football fans. They are simply a family who has come along and seen an opportunity to, they know everything about the stock market. They know everything about the financial side. So they've just seen it as a cash cow, and they've just continued to use it as a cash cow. And I think we're at the point now where they've taken it to a second stage of bidding, and now want to take it to a third stage of bidding. And yes, there's going to be other people that have not been reported. There's going to be other private bidders as well, etc. I get the impression that Joel is the one that wants control. The kind of way I've seen things go over the years, Joel is the one that wants control over how the club is run, and Avram seems to be the one that is just so about business and doesn't give a crap what's going on the football side. He's just busy attending his meetings in Davos and just wanting to only care about finance. They bought the club for what, $1 or something, and then with all this debt, and with this debt has continued over the years. I mean, what kind of businessman can you be if you able to purchase something as huge as a big football club on such enormous debt, and then be able to over 18 years to continue have that debt going, I've got a feeling they don't want to leave. I've got a feeling they don't want to sell, and this has all been a little bit of a game being played by them, possibly to assess just how much value they can put the club in the eyes of the stock exchange. So I don't know. I think they're going to be more than happy to just have this new story we know about, these new private investment people that have come in, that reported today by Mark Ogden, and just have them continue to keep the club going the way it is, because there's still going to be the debt. There's still going to be a lack of, or we say a lack of funds for the football side. Obviously, we're a huge conglomerate football club. We have a lot of funds, but the point is, it should be a hell of a lot more, because the money actually being generated by the club, so much of it is going on, on dividends and paying off debt and all the rest of it. Well, actually, just dividends, really, because where is the debt being paid off? So I don't know. I'm very, very concerned that they're more interested in looking to hang around and have their new financial unit come in and plow in the investment that they want, in order to, they actually want to improve the stadium and actually maybe do something with Carrington, more just to appease the fans, which of course that's not going to happen. The fans have had enough. So I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned.
Notch, before we come to our comment break, which on Monday is going to allow us to take a breather, I do want to ask you one more question. There, as you know, you probably follow the Twitter feed as much as we do here, and you see the reaction of fans. And I've seen a lot of posts of groups preparing to organise the takedown of fixtures should the Glazers stay. Like the Premier League being an organisation that prides itself in its football product, and knowing that it was a leveraged takeover in the first place, do they eventually have to turn around and go, do you know what, we need to apply the rules that they need to take out the debt out of the football club and service that themselves, or they need to sell and have it discharged in the proceeds of sale, because they're not going to want to see their product having clashes with the authorities outside of football clubs?
There's a possibility. The Premier League, I don't know. They seem to go on almost a populist thing. They've seen fan reaction to the way our football club is run. They've seen the fan reaction to how Chelsea has been run, how Spurs has been run. So suddenly these, they are almost signaling, oh, well, we're going to bring these new laws in. And I don't think it's just done because it's Manchester United, but simply because there probably is a little bit of pressure on the Premier League to actually be seen to be doing something. But the Premier League in itself has been a super league of its own for, since 1992. And the main driving force for this is the TV deal. So they're probably more interested in the broadcasting side of it and the deals that they get, as opposed to how they want to act on the financial side of football clubs. I'm not sure. I would like to think that they would be concerned enough to try and put a stop to stuff like this, but I don't know. I think they answer too much to the broadcasters, to be honest.
Thanks very much, Notch. Now, Monday, I'm going to hand it over to you to do the comments. And while you're doing that, I'm going to put this back up on the screen so you can hit the comments away there for us, please.
Right, we're going to talk about the Glazers because loads of comments coming in. I just want to say hi to Jim Mackey saying I wouldn't put past the Glazers to delivery sell late so that there isn't an immediate bounce for United following their departure. I want to say hi to Glenn as well. Glenn's the guy who does the merch store. He's saying, I think the media are just stirring things up as there's not a lot going on. They need to have news to report. So why not stir out the biggest news story in football at the moment and give us a topic to talk about, I suppose, tonight. Tyrone, how you doing? There's two Tyrones. It's not big enough for two Tyrones. You're going to have to put it out. Tyrone Williams is saying, Jim Mack there, unethical and hate the fans as much as we hate them. Why wouldn't they do it? They've never cared about United or their supporters. Brian Casey, how you doing, man? He said, on point. Just shows how big United is. There's no mention for any bids for Liverpool, and now they're not for sale. Mr. B saying, I think multiple bidders are a spin. Hi, Box, how you doing? He said, not sure what the Glazers want. I think someone's told them that in the future they might get 10 billion, so they're staying. Seems like they're just winging it, like they have done since 2005. I want to say hi to Eddie Football Waffle. Go and check out his channel, saying I keep hearing auctioneers, settings. They should televise it and get this takeover done with. Agreed from Jimmy Mack. He's saying, agreed, Tyrone. These fans are an irritant to the Glazers. That's right. We did protest. I want to say hi to UK Exchange as well. He's saying the Glazers should be made to pay off the debt. You know all about that. Want to big up Bath Time with Vaughan, one of very own here. He's saying, all right, lads, if we're talking takeovers and Glazers, are any of you going to go in on must and what they were originally were? Just to go, because if you're wondering what that's about, saying here, what's the original name, Box? Tell us the story. Is SUAM. I didn't know this. I'm just learning now. It was called Shareholders United, and it was set up in opposition to the Glazers and now works with them. Also, well, technically, it was set up to oppose Sky and then the Glazers. So Box goes on to say it works out as yet Shareholders United against Murdoch. This is all news to me. Tyrone Williams, the Mr. Williams saying, Man United need to win trophies to maintain their status as #1 club, especially when it comes to gaining support from the younger generation. That can't happen with the Glazers. So, as we agree here, applaud for Bath Time for dropping a bit of knowledge there. Box is saying here, we can win things and do better in spite of the Glazers, but long term, they're going to need to go if we're going to expand as a club.
Who's your mute?
Can't hear you.
My apologies. I hit the wee red button here on my mic.
The Glazers tried tampering with your mic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Damn it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take our blood pressure down a notch because I've turned into a glorified takeover correspondent in United Agenda, and I'm going to talk about things a little more pleasant that maybe we can sink our teeth into. Today, the team of the season announcement have been made, and we have 4 nominees. Messrs. Shaw, Martinez, Casemiro and Rashford are all in the hat. But starting with you, Tyrone, do you feel that there's anybody missing that should be at least nominated?
I don't know. I was speaking about this earlier on my show, actually, and one of my panelists mentioned Bruno Fernandes. However, I was like, to be fair, Bruno is Bruno. You kind of know what you're going to get with him anyway. So I don't feel like it's a massive loss that he's not mentioned. For me, I don't think he's really even bothered about it as long as he's performing on the pitch. But I actually think if I had to pick 4, this is a rightful 4. I really like the balance of it as well. When you actually look at it, it's kind of like a spine of a football club, really. You've got, obviously, Shaw the left back. You've got Martinez, Casemiro, and Rashford, obviously, the left winger predominantly, but he can play up front. And so, really, it's quite impressive that we've got different players in different positions there in the 4 nominated. And I think you could speak about all of them in different ways. You know, Luke Shaw, I've actually been a fan of Luke Shaw. I remember that Louis van Gaal season when he broke his leg against PSV. He was having a great season that year. Obviously, he was much similar then, but he was bobbing up and down the wing. And I don't think he's ever been fully the same player since then, because he's more of a player that, you know, I'll put my arm around you, I really believe in you, and we will go from there. And Luke Shaw's been a bit up and down. We saw how him and Mourinho didn't really get along, and I didn't know if it was going to work out. But Ten Hag seems to, you know, be getting a fine tune out of him. He's been a very able centre back when Martinez has not been available. We won the derby against Manchester City when he was there, and he wasn't a problem for him. So I'm really happy with Shaw being in there, and I'm hoping that with this contract now, he can now personally kick on. He's in the prime years now, 27 years of age. You look at Robertson for Liverpool. I know he's slowly deteriorating now, but that sort of 28 to 31 bracket for left backs is kind of, this is your time. So hopefully he kicks on. Martinez, well, what can you say? Breath of fresh air, hunger, aggression. You know, obviously he's been fit all season apart from unlucky what happened to him the other day, but I love what he brings, and, you know, and he's so key to our football. People say, "Oh, stay away from the Dutch league, Ten Hag," and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you're a new manager and you want to get quick wins, I call them, with players on board that know your style, then Martinez has been exactly that. And look how key he is to play. I don't just watch the game and say, "Oh, Man United won." I watch it and I'm studying and stuff like that. And when you look at the way we build up from the back, he's integral. We don't have a great phase 1 player in midfield, so he is that person passing through the line. So he's brilliant, man, and I love what he's done this season. And don't forget the criticism he had at the start of the campaign from media and other people and other fans as well. And then Casemiro, of course, he's got the leadership. And every game he's been in with, you know, I saw a stat today, him and Eriksen and Bruno never lost together when they've started. 17 games, 15 wins, 2 draws. It just goes to show what he's like when he's in the side. He just brings that experience and that know-how and the fight. And then Rashford, a year ago, guys, there probably might have been some of you on the panel said, you know what, maybe time to move him on. Some might have said, you know what, let's give him a chance under Ten Hag. I was in the camp where you've got one season, and he's from. Look, I've actually got the top on. He's from St Kitts and Nevis, the island. I should rep him the most, but you know, I was honest about Rashford, and I just think his footballing ability for me wasn't fully there, but he'd always produced the numbers. But I was always thinking, how good is he when he's not scoring? Like, what do you know what I mean? It's the other side of the game, despite getting the numbers. But for me, Ten Hag got him confident. His footballing ability has improved. He is a vital cog in our team because we don't really have an outlet. And I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him this year. And with him, I feel like the best is yet to come under Ten Hag, and I like that because he's getting numbers and his performances have been better. So I'm really happy for Rashford because a year ago he was under pressure, links with PSG and stuff like that. And I think if we did lose him, it would have been like, whoa, do you know what? We really did lose a player there. So do you know what? All of them deserve a mention in their own ways, and I'm really happy about it, to be honest, because I think they're the rightful four.
Absolutely. Not anything to add on the team of the season nominations or those that weren't nominated?
I'm really happy for the 4 that have been, but I would absolutely put Eriksen in there with them. It's very difficult to choose between them, to be honest. Rashford absolutely deserves it because having had the troubles he had last season, the season before, and then playing with an injury and getting a hell of a lot of criticism for it, to see him actually, there's little minor improvements here and there to his game. He's seeing reading the play better. He's seeing people around him. He's coming off from the left and he's making intelligent runs. He's always made intelligent runs. I think he just suits the way Ten Hag sets up the team so well, and we're seeing the results from it. Being in the right place at the right time to get to score goals, being more accurate with his shots. He's obviously done a hell of a lot of practice in order to improve his game. So it's great to see that from him. Casemiro, I don't think we need to say any more. He's just been the defensive midfielder we've needed for years and years. And who else is in there? Shaw, absolutely delighted for Shaw. A couple of years ago, I thought he was actually starting to go on the wane because it seemed like he wasn't going to ever come back from that horrific injury. But he's come back and he's the player he was then now, you know, because he was firing just before that happened. And now we're seeing, you know, we saw a little bit of a drop off. I thought he was a little bit slow in getting, in stopping crosses. He wasn't quite getting back into positions. He was, just not quite reading the game right. He's been almost faultless this year by comparison. So he's massively improved. Martinez, unless you're Jamie Carragher, then Martinez should be in there. Eriksen for me as well. Eriksen, considering we've had to lose him for a couple of months, I just, because to me it's always been the actual the duo of Casemiro and Eriksen together. That's what's massively improved our midfield. There's a huge drop off when you take either of those out. And much as I love and support McTominay and Fred, we've had a squad of a lot of players who have, who tend to be very, very, excel at one good facet of the game, but don't at others. So, if we want people who are more of an all-rounder, I just look at Eriksen and I go, well, actually, he can be quite combative. He's always wanting the ball. He's collecting it off the fence, but he moves it through the midfield so quickly. So with him being able to do that and Casemiro providing that shield behind him, that's freed up Bruno. And that's why we've seen such a great performance from Bruno this year and seeing him control games and seeing him have a little, especially, Bruno's actually done really well when we've brought him in to play alongside a 6 or play as an 8 and have that slightly deeper role because you can see the game. He's a great reader of the, of the game and full of intelligence. And he tries things all the time. It doesn't always come off, and we know we can sometimes get frustrated. But he has, when he's got that cushion behind him of two world-class players, we just see the best of him, and he's been absolutely brilliant. So
You know
all
what I think,
four,
Watch, as well, just to add on Bruno, because I actually do agree with you. When you talk about his performance on Sunday, for example, I've always said that when Eriksen has been off, obviously with the injury, I felt like we saw Bruno go back to type, which was when he first arrived. When he first arrived, we didn't really have that midfield around him. And what he does is, because he likes to obviously have the ball in them dangerous areas, we weren't good enough to get the ball to him in them areas. So he would always drop deep, or I would always say, not headless chicken, but he'd run around searching for the ball because he wasn't really getting it. Whereas I do feel like when he has Casemiro and Eriksen there, the key word for me is he trusts them to get the ball to him in that pocket of area, in that space in between the defense and midfield of the opponents. And I feel like when Eriksen's not there, he doesn't believe in the players to get the ball to him in dangerous areas, which is why he goes looking for the ball more. And I do agree with you that with Casemiro and Eriksen, he trusts them to do that, which means he stays in that number 10 role, and it benefits our attack, of course.
It doesn't get to the ball, doesn't get to him quick enough when it's with somebody else.
Yeah,
because Casemiro and Eriksen are just such great readers of the game, but incredibly quick thinking. They make those quick decisions, and they see they can go one or two steps ahead and see how the play is going to pan out. So they know exactly where to put the ball straight away. So that's like like we say, freeing up Bruno in an earlier point of the attack. And that gives him the time and space to look and see the runners, see what Rashford is doing, see what Anthony's doing. Big up to Anthony yesterday, actually. I thought he was absolutely brilliant. Where I'm seeing Ten Hag now, it's starting to work. It's starting to see. This is what we're saying about Ten Hag. He's starting to work on the plus points of players and how they can get him, how he can get them to fit the system by utilizing their strengths. And we didn't see an Anthony for months that was running at players, and then suddenly yesterday we saw this. It was fantastic. So yeah, out of the four, that's great. How many will actually get into the team? We don't know. We know what the mainstream media can be like. But yeah, apart from not also Eriksen also not being in there, I'd say yeah, all four deserve it.
Can I just jump in now? The comments are going mad at the moment. I just want to add about Eriksen as well. Good shout with Eriksen. He's one of my players. That's my boy. The way he dictates the tempo, he deserves recognition, especially coming back from the dead as well. The bath time was saying, "Oh my God, lads, this is a FIFA 23 team of the season. Who cares? We care. We're talking about it right now. We got our four horsemen in the team, and we were lovely analysis there from the two guys below me. Box is saying here, not sure how Havertz was nominated. He's obviously got in from Chelsea. Jimmy Mack saying Bruno should at least have a nomination to back up what Tyrone and Notch was saying there. Brian Casey saying here, Martinez, Casemiro, and Rashford should 100% be in the team this season, but they're never going to put 3 United players in it. Ed Mayhem, how you doing? Hope to see you play in a couple of weeks. Said most clean sheets to Gea and no Bruno either. Absolute joke. He's disgusted. Who gets manager of the season, says Box. Emery might be in with a shout. He's only been there a few months, but they're on a storm, aren't they, Villa? They're rising up the table. Bath time saying it's insanity that Ake isn't in there. Obviously, Ake turned up at Man City and playing enough for every game in their new system. Richard Herbert, how you doing? Big up, lads. Hope we are doing lads with injury laws at the moment. 3 points away yesterday and a clean sheet. So big up to Richard Herbert. Box is saying here, Haaland will win the player of the year and the young player of the year. Hopefully that's all he wins this season. Tyrone Williams saying manager of the year should be Eddie Howe, doing a great job. Obviously we beat them in the cup final, but they beat us a couple of weeks later in the league. Bath time saying Martinez has been, listen to this guys, this is what I want to get a little feedback on. Martinez has been in the 7-0, 4-0, 6-3. No United defender deserves to be in the team of the season based on that. Jim Mack saying, sure, worries me. He's inherently lazy. Oh, he's great in his day, but seems to need the constant threat of losing his job in order to play well or train well. Remember Tellez last year. Eriksen's passing has been amazing, says Tyrone. He makes everyone else improve too, especially Bruno. Chisenko, Ake, Saliba, Trippier. That would be Bath times back four. And shout out to Dunk as well at Brighton. He's given some different players there. Come on, Bath. I mean, the great defenders have been battered in the years. This is the disrespect to Martinez. Martinez is a pit bull, says Tyrone. Yes, he responds, but he's a bit of a pit bull, but he's been falling down twice this year at halftime. And Brian finally here saying, if we don't sign Sabitzer on a permanent deal this summer, it will be absolute tragedy. He's big upgrade on McFred and improves our squad massively. So what do you make of that, guys? There's a lot of Especially one about Martinez being in some
Yeah,
Latin.
it's interesting. Do you know what? I actually had a question for all you guys as a trio. Out of the 4 that we've got listed, if you could pick one that gets into that team, which one do you think is the most likely?
For me, it's Cass.
I'd say
Well,
Martinez.
wait, I think there are 2 different answers there.
Well, I'll go first. I think Rashford will get in the team based on his stats, his profile. He's scoring goals. He's up there. If you look, most goals this season, there's obviously Haaland, there's Mbappe, and then there's Rashford sniffing around there. So based on that, people like goals, don't they? They like goals and exciting players. People run at you all the time. I think he would get on based on that, but not for me. I think team is not just about stats and data. We do the eye test, don't we, Bath Time and Vaughan?
I was going to say briefly, no, obviously I love Martinez. I have him on my United agenda mug. But for me, the platform on which our success was built, and we've been crying out for this for years, although Ed Woodward couldn't see it for some bizarre reason, we needed a proper central defensive midfielder. And Casemiro has come in, and despite his brushes with the law lately in the red card division, he has been a big transformation for us. Rashford, we always knew, had the ability to take on the world, but Casemiro probably helped build the base for which Rashford was able to spring off.
Fair.
Yeah.
Notch, have a shout.
I think, yeah, I mean, I was thinking, you know what, Martinez could get in there. I think the most likely is Casemiro, though, probably. I mean, what competition does he have? Arsenal fans might say, you know, Party maybe. I don't know. I think Casemiro has just excelled, absolutely excelled. Because, you know, and as you point out, we've needed this for so long. I mean, Woodward would never look at actual player that improves the team. He looks at the player that sells the shirts. So that was never going to happen. You know, he's like, oh, Carrick, yeah, he won a trophy. You know, let's get him. Let's make, you know, it's like, because otherwise, we got Schneidlin. Yeah, we've needed Casemiro so much. He's the heartbeat. And yeah, you know, we've had to struggle without him. You know, I'm more concerned about the fact that Bruno's missing on Thursday against Sevilla. And I'm hoping, really hoping that Sabitzer is back. Because we're going to need it. This is going to be a struggle of a game. It's going to be a right slog with too many players. Last night, 2-0 as well. Yeah, this is not going to be easy, and it's away to Sevilla. This is going to be a real test for what we do. We're hoping Shaw will be back, and maybe we can slot him in into central defence and maybe play Malacia again. But Malacia didn't have his best game against Sevilla, so I'm hoping Sabitzer will be back, because I think we're going to need him on Thursday.
Very true. Now, speaking of people that are on the way back, there was some good news for Manchester United today in that we saw pictures of Garnacho wearing shoes again. So it looks like he's out of the boot and hopefully on the road to recovery. But gentlemen, we are getting tight in time. So this one is going to be very much a rapid fire buzzer round. Ten Hag talks strikers. Now, yesterday after the Nottingham Forest game, he did an interview with Sky, and obviously a lot of this is predicated on the direction of the takeover and whatnot. But he says about strikers, everything and everyone is different, obviously. But for a striker, the main thing is to score goals by any method. That is so far ahead of anything else. We need a striker who can score goals because we have the ability in the team to put balls into the box. So we need a striker to finish. We have to build a new future, and we need a striker who not only scores goals but contributes in the link-up play and pressing, which is very important. Now, obviously, that does seem to suggest that he's not happy with one Wout Weghorst, who's on loan. While he provides some of the pressing and the link-up play, he doesn't do the primary duty enough, and that is putting ball in net. Your assessment on Ten Hag's comments, lads, just briefly.
That it's just screamed, oh my God, I've had 3 months of Weghorst, didn't it? It really did scream that. Like, I want a striker to do all the things that he's not doing. There's an element of Martial in there that he obviously, I think he likes Martial, and can see how he fits in really well. It's just a problem with Martial is that, you know, when he's there, when he's not, what can you do? The issue is more what's going to happen in the summer. Obviously, that's pending on what's going on with the sale of the club. So I don't know. We all know that we need to get spend some money on a proper striker in the summer, preferably 2 if we can, and maybe offload. You know, say to Weghorst, thank you. You were brilliant. You showed us a lot of heart, but bye bye. And I don't know, with Martial, it depends on what Ten Hag wants. I'm not sure whether he wants to keep him or not and just go for one other striker. Depends how much budget he gets, I guess.
I'm glad we're talking strikers now. It's good to hear your points, Notch, but I'll be honest with you. Martial, for me, has to stay. And I think there was actually a report that comes out that he is going to stay. Obviously, there's a thing I always say, availability is your best ability, and that will never change no matter how good you are. And I think when Martial's available, he's been great in terms of, I think he's got the second highest most contributions per 90 for any player in the league this year, other than Haaland when you're talking about forwards. I just think he's great in terms of his link-up play. He helps us retain possession, but also sustain attacks when he's actually on the pitch as well. And what I liked from Martial yesterday was actually the way he won the ball back to, you know, get us on the attack to then score the goal, which Anthony put away. And for me, I think he really likes Martial, but he just knows that you can't rely on him. But for me, if you look at it, we're going to get a number 9 no matter what. But as a backup or someone that's, look at Ferguson. He had 4 strikers of Sheringham, you know, York, Cole, and Solskjaer. They all got their minutes. We only have 1 striker right now, which is technically Martial, because Weghorst is not good enough. So we're definitely going to get a number 9. And Martial will get his minutes, but we also need a number 9 we can rely on to play 30 at least out of 38 games a season in the league, 100%. So the problem I have here is Martial is the perfect player in terms of his ability and what he wants to style, link up play, dropping in the pockets, you know, the movement and stuff like that. However, if we go and get Harry Kane, which a lot of people are talking about, he's a similar player. So I know that in terms of what Kane's going to bring us, it will work, because if Martial does that and Kane's a similar player, drops in the pockets, plays out passes, links up the play, then great. But for me, as a Man United fan, this is what I'm interested to see what you guys think. You've got someone like, I'm gonna just say Victor Osimhen out there, right? So he's more of a jobber-esque striker. He's gonna get, you know, he's a great heading in the box. You know, he's gonna play on the last man. He's a bit more of a flat track bully. You know, he's gonna run in behind, run the channels. Kane isn't really gonna do that. So if you have Martial and Kane, and this is my question for you guys, if you have Martial and Kane, are you happy with that? Because you know you've got players that already suit the system in terms of their ability. Or would you like a differential where you have Martial, who you know can do sort of that Kane kind of role if he stays fit, but then you've got a number 9 that's different in terms of running in behind, stretching the play, strong, get crosses in, bullet headers. Do you want 2 of the same profile, or would you rather someone else different and then you have Martial as the backup? What do you guys want?
Could I just add to that? I just want to say, look, yeah, we're talking strikers, and what was key was what Rebel said, the quote from the manager about what characteristics he needs from his strikers. And we're starting to get an identity now about how we play and what this number 9 role has to do to be contribute towards the side. And yeah, I think Martial has been our best player in that role with the people that we have, the personnel we do have at the club. But yesterday, for example, back post header, boom, good morning, finish your dinner. We need someone who can be a bit more of a fox in the box. I like Martial. He does all the right things outside the box, bringing people into play, that kind of thing. Very intelligent. He's coming to his prime as well, should be his prime. If he stays fit, it'd be a great attribute to the squad. But I do think if we do get someone, we need to finish off our dinner and not be spilling.
What profile do you want? That's what I'm saying. Do you want a Kane who's going to get you goals, but also dropping? Or
yeah, so in response, I do think, say Harry Kane, I think he fits the bill. I'm not a fan of his. I don't really want to buy him, but if you're talking about development and making our squad better, I think he would, and I think he would be finishing those back post headers that Bruno and Martial struggled with yesterday.
I'm just going to come in very briefly and say, while you make a great point about Kane being established in Premier League, if you're talking about a game where your number 1 striker in this situation, which would be Harry Kane, is being handled, and you're bringing on Martial, who's a slightly younger, maybe quicker version of the same striker, chances are they're not going to have to redevelop their defensive system to try and mark Martial out of the game as well. So I think it makes sense that you have 2 different looks. So if somebody is dealing with Osimhen and what he brings to the table, and that's not working. You look to your bench, you're going, okay, there's Martial.
Yeah.
You force them to make a change. Whereas if you're bringing on a like for like, you're not forcing them to make a change.
If
And
you had
for
a gun
me,
to my head right now, Osherman.
Yeah.
That's because I want the two different profiles.
but I'm going to give the last word on this topic to Notch.
I have no problem getting Kane, only because we're not at the stage as we were in the past when we had Fergie squads and all we had to do was like top up how amazing our squad and quality of player were. We're still in this rebuild, and much as I don't like the idea of getting someone who's approaching 30 or just after in order to keep us going, we're still in this rebuild of trying to get to the stage where we're actually competing for the title and the Champions League, because that's where Manchester United should always be. So we're in a situation where we've got two strikers, one of whom is obviously proving to be not the level that we need, although he's very, very has a lot of heart and passion, and a guy who fits us superbly. And as you say, is one particular type of striker that we could utilize within the squad, and in the first team. It's just his availability. Can he stay fit? As far as I'm concerned, as you pointed out before, we've always had 4 strikers. Fergie would always have 4 strikers. We need at least 3 at this stage, if we because it's slightly different from the 4-4-2 days where you play a striker or one with one just off them. Because now the kind of the striker just off tends to be more the 10 or the attacking midfielder. So if you're going to look at number 9s, then we at least need 3. So then it's down to the finances. But if we're going to get something like Kane, I'd like us to keep Martial and see if we can have him at least available without playing 38 games. If he can't control his fitness. And then if it's going to be too, I think it might be too expensive to try and get Kane and maybe someone like a Ferguson. But then you could have a look around elsewhere and get somebody else maybe to act as like a cover for Kane. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what you guys think of Ollie Watkins, because he had a fantastic game for Villa, but he's not always been mentioned by pundits a lot. Someone like him, we know another team in the Premier League, especially a club doing so well like Villa, are not going to just say, "Oh, well, you can have him for 10 million." But I think we need somebody of a very, very good standard to at least have us as a backup, especially if we're going to have our main striker being a 30-year-old.
Very true, very true. Now, gentlemen, we've covered a lot of ground today, and I do want to thank everyone for their contributions. But before we wrap up, it's time to put our guests up on the big screen and let them let you know where they can be found.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for having me. Make sure you liking the video, guys, and subscribing. My Twitter is down below, as you can see here, for @TorrentMC__. And then for our YouTube, our generic football channel is Never a Foul. So it's like Never a Foul, ref. Yeah, so Never a Foul. And our Manchester United specific channel is Trafford Tunnel. So that's Trafford Tunnel for everything Manchester United. So yeah, give us a follow, give us a subscription. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching and supporting the show, man. As always, big up, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, you can find me. I've got a YouTube channel, Santa Notch. I've got a few videos out there. Stuff about music, stuff about food. Not really doing about football, because that's why I come on shows like this. You can find me on Instagram as Santa Notch, on Twitter as @CraniumO. And if you tune into the Stretford Paddock Watchlog on Thursday, you'll see me doing a prediction video.
There we are, ladies and
by the way, as well.
Sorry?
Nice meeting you, by the way, as well.
Yes, you too, Tyrone. Thank you.
Absolutely. And of course, My Night Agenda will be back tomorrow. I think at the earlier time of 7 o'clock. We will confirm that through our socials during the course of tomorrow. But from us, it's been a pleasure discussing football with you all, gentlemen. But have a pleasant Monday night, and we will see you all again very soon.
Cheers, guys.